Hello and welcome back to the channel. Today we have this position. It is white to move, and this crazy puzzle composed by Richard Reddy is actually a draw. I mean, when you first look at it, you see these three pawns pushing you like this, and you only have one pawn that is too far away from your king, and black's king is so close to it, you lose all hope, right? You say, this is 100% winning for black. Because the second you go after the pawn on g7, these pawns are going to start pushing. So how is this even a draw? Well, let's get started. You can pause the video to find the first move, but I think the first move is very obvious. Of course, it's not the move c7. Black is just going to go there and grab the pawn. The idea here behind this puzzle, that we keep this pawn alive. This is our only hope to try to create some counterplay. But how do we do this? We play king g6 first. See, the idea behind king to g6, we're trying to go after his pawns while also trying to get closer to our pawn, which is insane. Now here black has three options. Either pushing the pawn to h5, f5, or king b6, king takes c6. Like one of these, right? Let's see first what happens if black in this position played the move king to b6. She's gonna try to win the pawn. So what do we do? Here, which is I know it's crazy. You don't pause the video to find the answer on your own. I 100% sure that you're not gonna like this move. It's insane because whenever you have a pawn chain like this, going after the pawn is actually bad because then it's gonna create two passers, right? And the best move, king takes g7. King takes g7, which is insane. Now, black here also has many options. Can push h5, can push f5, can take the pawn. Now, what happens if he took our pawn? Then we take the pawn on f6. It doesn't matter how the king is going to get closer or the pawn. This is a draw because we're just going to get close and he's going to lose the pawn. That's why after king g6, king b6, king takes, he cannot take this pawn because it's going to be a draw. He's going to lose his pawns as well. You might say, okay, what if black in this position pushed one of these pawns? Let's see, for example, what happens after f5. We don't take this pawn. We're losing this. We play king f6. Remember, the idea here is to take both of these two pawns or try to support this pawn in some magical way. But the king's still too far, right? So this move is aiming to win this pawn because after we win this pawn, he has to take this one and then we go here, we win the other one, and that's a draw. What if he pushed? What if he pushed the pawn? What do we do now? Now there's only one move, which is insane. King e5, trying to attack the pawn on f4. Now remember, if we take this pawn, we have time to go here and we take this pawn as well. Now here black has two options. I mean, taking right here is not really an option because of takes and then we get the king close either way and we win the pawn. What if he pushed? What if you push the pawn? You might say, well, okay, hello, f2, f1, promotion to a queen. Well, now, since we took that pawn, we got close, now we play king to d6. King to d6, now we are protecting our pawn. I know it's insane because you're like, he's gonna make a queen first. Well, yeah. Now here, he promotes, we promote, and some checks are gonna start to happen. Queen f4, queen d3, queen d1, a lot of checks. But the idea is just try to keep the king in the center of the board, but this is still a draw. It doesn't matter what actually happened, still a draw. Because the second black pushes his pawn, there's going to be like a lot of checks, It is impossible to evade the checks, right? So it's going to be a draw. So in this position, right, after f5, we play this move, he push, we play this move, he goes here, and then we go here, we defend, and we both promote, and that's a draw. Okay, what if he didn't play f5? What if he pushed h5? Well, that's very obvious, we take here. What if he push? Okay, now you might say, okay, come on. No way, this is even a draw. Black is winning. This pawn is too close to be captured. This pawn can never be attacked, right? Because black will just push. Well, in this position, we play king to e5. The idea of king to e5, you're trying to get your way into the pawn, but indirectly, which is insane, because now if black takes the pawn, for example, like this, we go here, we place this, and we are in time to stop the pawn. All right. What if after king to e5, he did not, capture the pawn? He pushes h3. Then we go back to d6, pushes the pawn, we push again, he promotes, we promote, the same thing. A lot of checks. Just make sure not to go here and get it checked, and we just go here. And a lot of checks are gonna happen, but still, this is a draw, which is completely insane. All right. So this is what happens after king to g6 and king b6. We take this pawn. All right. But what if he didn't go after the pawn? What if he played one of these moves, f5 or h5? Well, f5, you might say, okay, now this is obviously not good for us, right? You might say, oh, we could just take this pawn, right? No, this is actually losing. Taking this pawn is losing because we're not in time to defend the pawn. And if he went back, he takes here. We can never take this pawn because this pawn will push. And our only hope to counter this pawn push was to defend the pawn we have on c6 to create some counterplay. But since we've lost the pawn and he still has two pawns, we can never capture this pawn. And even if we move back, he's just going to get closer. Come on, two pawns pushing, obviously losing. So after f5, we don't actually take the pawn on f5. We take the pawn on g7. That's an insane move. Moving away from the pawn that is pushing is insane. f4, king f6. Now if he tries to get closer, okay, like he can play f3, but then after the f3, we play king e6. It doesn't matter if he get close, we're gonna go here and defend. And we're gonna reach this same position I showed you earlier, which is a draw. Okay, but after king to f6, king b6, trying to win this pawn. Because if he won this pawn, that's it. We're cooked. We play king t5, try to win this pawn. If he takes, we take, and then we go here and we take this pawn. If you push, we are in time to go back and create some counterplay, which is insane. The same thing happens after king takes here, for example, and then black pushes this pawn. Same thing. King f6, trying to win this pawn. If he pushed, then we have king e5, trying to win this pawn. Because if we win this pawn, we can get there and win the other one. If he pushed, now there is no possible way for us to stop this pawn. No way. Now, so we use the king to threaten his pawns, and also when he tries to push them, we go back and then we're defending our pawn. Now he plays f2, we go here. If you want to play king b7, we just go back, he promotes, we promote, and we keep checking the king, and that's a draw. Amazing puzzle. Thank you for watching.